I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Trinity Racing. Harry McDermott is the founder and ran it for about 25, 30 years. I met up with him at the Legends 2000 race in Ashtabula, Ohio, talked about his racing career and what the sport used to be like, where he saw it going in the future. So here you go.
Harry McDermott, Anaheim, California.
Okay, what's your racing history like? What championships have you won or major races?
Can't go there because they're not going to be a big list.
I won a few, I know. So
Raced for probably 5 years. Mostly raced Baja. That was my main thing. Raced a couple off-road championships at the Old Riverside Raceway. Really never spent a lot of time at the motocross tracks. Mostly the desert.
what are you doing now?
I run Trinity Racing. I own it. Been doing that for 21 years. I live this every day, so I'm out here doing it all the time. I'm just not riding anymore. It feels really good to get out there and just kind of let it loose for a little bit.
How'd you get started racing ATVs?
They came out with the 250R back in '81, and the bike was really hot. Loved it. Wanted to start racing. I was a little bit old to be starting racing. I was probably 26 at that time. Really just wanted to get out there and bang it around. It was great. The bike looked like it was up and coming, and started racing.
Out of all the bikes that you've ridden, what's the favorite bike?
Probably 85 250R. It was the last bike that I ever raced. So I mean, racing a quad like right now in this Legends race is all new to me. So I'm riding it like my old three-wheeler, but I'm getting the hang of it. So I'm getting it.
What'd you like about the three-wheelers versus a four-wheeler?
Well, the three-wheelers, it took a lot more to ride them. It was a lot more effort. I mean, you really had to work your body on the bike to really race it. Quad seems to be a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more, you can get a little more speed on them too, it seems like. I mean, they're not quite as, they're a little more forgiving, it seems like. You know, I mean, as far as racing-wise, you can get away with a little bit more. It means you probably push it a little bit harder. Quad-wise, you know, if I wish I had a little more time on one on the racetrack, I'd probably be able to give you a better answer, but it feels really good. I've had a real blast the last couple of days.
Now, as a racer, I've had a lot of crazy things happen during races. What's the wildest racing story that you have? I know you've got to have something with Baja or some of the other things that you've done.
There's a lot of them. I don't know, one doesn't really come to mind other than the last one that I raced. I raced the Mint 100, and I got off really, really hard, and I was so down, I rung my bell so bad that I went the wrong way down the track for probably 10 miles before I realized that I was going the wrong way after I passed the other guys coming the other way. So that was probably one of the memorable things. I mean, you know, racing the wrong way down the racetrack is not the normal thing you'd want to do, when, especially in Baja, doing 90 miles an hour in a three-wheeler, you know, when we head on somebody. But that was probably one of the things, other than just having a great time. Had a lot of fun out there, and it's really hot out here right now.
Now, what's the biggest difference that you see between racing back then versus racing now?
Factory involvement would be nice now. I think that with the factory, when I used to ride, it was an incentive for the riders to go out there and work real hard, because you had a little bit more to shoot for with the ride. Nowadays, you know, I think it's coming, and it's probably going to be happening maybe next year. Factory involvement will be, there'll be more factory involvement, I'm sure of it. And when that happens, I'm not sure things are going to change much in the way of people getting out there and racing real hard, because these guys ride, you know, they're riding on the edge, and they do it for themselves. And a lot of that's not going to change. But as far as going back to the difference between then and now, I don't know if it's changed that much. I think it's, you know, obviously the vehicles have changed a lot, and that's always going to be the way no matter what. I mean, 10 years from now, you know, the rocket's strapped to, you know, the bike, so I don't know what will happen then. But, you know, as far as racing changing, I don't think it's changed that much.
Now, I mean, you've been around ATV racing basically since the very beginning. Out of all the riders you've seen race, other than yourself, who's the best rider that you've seen?
You know, I'd have to go back and probably say, you know, it's hard to beat a Gary Denton or a you know, a Shane Hitt or some of the guys that are, you know, recently riding. It's hard to compare them to the guys back when I was riding, the Jimmy Whites and, you know, the Marty Harts and some of those guys, which were extremely good back then, but we're talking about two completely different vehicles. I'd have to say, probably if I had to pick one, I'd say it'd probably be Dean Sundal. Just, the man can last. He's been doing this forever. I think that he'll just be doing this 10 years from now, too. And it takes a lot to be doing and riding as hard as he does that long.
Where do you see ATVs going?
Well, that's a tough one. I think ATVs are probably just seeing a peak right now, starting a peak that when the factories start getting more involved and we start seeing the factories spending money to come out here and racing and really supporting it, I think that we're going to move to more of the supercross level, I hope, you know, and we're going to see it become more towards that end, I think. I think it deserves it. I think you know, the industry's earned it. And I think if we get past all the bad press that we've had over the years, that'll happen.
If you like that interview with Harry, make sure and check out some of these other video clips. I've got a bunch of interviews with riders like Dean Sundal, Marty Hart, Jimmy White, Gary Denton, true legends of the ATV sport. Also, make sure like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. And if you can, leave some comments below. Let me know, what do you think about these interviews and what would you like to see in the future?